Hello. So I guess it would have been June of last year, and I was thinking about my business and where it was going and what was happening, and it wasn't quite going according to plan. Let's put it that way. And possibly that was also having a negative effect on my general outlook. I was thinking, okay, why don't other people want to save the world as I do? Why isn't this going? There's definitely demand for it. I was feeling a bit sort of that things just weren't going in my direction, and that did really also have an impact then on just my day to day, how I kind of felt about things generally, where, well, if no one wants to save the world, then this is only going one way, whereas we need to be looking forward, and we need to be looking at solutions and what we can do, and why doesn't everybody think like I do? They weren't interested. So yeah, I felt like, was that the way I was putting my message across? Was it that they weren't there yet in terms of, timing? We were coming out of, dare I say it, the pandemic situation, and things were looking much better and positive. People were back in the office. So there was definitely a need for it. But it just didn't seem to be getting traction. So that, that said, that was kind of really making things quite difficult. So I was definitely, losing my mojo is probably it. I was just very worried that people weren't going to be interested in taking things forward. So yeah, I mean, I think sort of testing out the 6 a.m. starts was definitely an eye-opener for me, but that has been, like, it's an absolute game changer, the getting up and giving yourself that extra hour or two to yourself, to think, to plan, to even to have time to look inwardly and see, okay, why are you thinking about things the way you are? I think when I first spoke to you about it, I was very skeptical. I was like, oh, how is this going to help me? Like, I'd already been to a few coaches. I'd done a bit of senior leadership coaching. And I kind of thought, well, I know how this goes. You go and talk to someone and they talk to you, and you're supposed to work it all out yourself. And, really, I need someone to help me. I need somebody to tell me what to do, is certainly what I felt at the time. And how was, coaching going to help? But I think in those first few weeks of starting to get up early, to think about what you're doing going forward, how to really examine some of those things that you maybe believed about yourself that weren't actually true. I think that's definitely one of the first things that I realized, that the way we think about perhaps what's happened in the past and how you bring that forward. I think everybody talks about that, but they don't actually do what's necessary to tackle those feelings and situations. And I think sometimes in a traditional coaching program, you can talk about your feelings, but actually, you keep talking about your negative feelings, you're only going to get negative feedback. You're only going to be in a negative frame of mind, rather than the positive that you need to bring forward to be able to have that outlook. It was a really great time to start, like it is now. We're coming into the brighter mornings. You feel more positive. It's sunny out. You are up early. You are re-examining the way that you do things. You're realizing that maybe there are better ways forward. And so I think it was certainly within the first 2 or 3 weeks. And I went on holiday, right? Remember? And then, plenty of people would have said, well, sure, I'll just carry on when I get back. But actually, those particular mornings when I was on holiday, getting up early, were amazing. The sunrises, the quiet in the morning, and realizing that actually, okay, I have my energy back, and I have my mojo back, like you said, and how I can't wait to see what else is going to happen next, because doors started to open, things started to change, or like not instantly, but certainly within those first few weeks, the positivity was back with a bang. Well, I don't know myself, so that's the first thing to say. I am the person that I thought that I was, or that I guess we've talked about this in some of our group sessions, is that it's sort of like getting some of your old self back. that you had sort of forgotten about. And that for me has been a real game changer, because I definitely am a much more positive person. And I realize now that, my goal is to educate 1 million people to live climate friendly lives. And I really am getting traction with that. And people are coming on board. We have, 2 very strong educational programs in carbon literacy and in getting people to be B Corps, getting companies to go on the B Corp journey and to certify. And you can see from the Sustainable Development Goals behind me that's our mission, modus operandi. And so when people don't necessarily follow through all the time, now I know that they will come back to me, because this is something that, we can't escape. We need to be looking at what we can do and being positive about the future. You've got the Earthshot Prize. You've got so many amazing things coming on stream to help make us, have a much better world to live in. And it's not necessarily about, the planet will be fine. It's about saving us and how we live our lives going forward. And there are so many parallels with the program that I hadn't anticipated at all. So in terms of just how, you're thinking about how people are thinking, and you're thinking about, if they're thinking about that, how are they thinking about the environment? And so I didn't see that coming, in terms of it actually intertwining with the work that I do. I thought the 2 things were going to be quite separate, but they're absolutely, your goals, whether they're personal or professional, are always intertwined. And this program definitely helped me to do that. I think I suppose I keep adding to them, and I'm probably making them more clearer and more defined. I think when I started, the big hairy goal of doing that and educating that many people seemed to be totally beyond me. And I think that's the genius in this, is that you put something that seems well beyond your reach and your capability, because then it makes all of the little things that you're doing every day and working towards it. If something doesn't go your way, you realize, no, the goal is still there. That hasn't changed. I'm still going towards that. If I change how I get there, then that's not, that doesn't matter. So now I am definitely on a mission to make that happen, and to make more companies come on board with helping their employees to drive climate education and climate change within their workplace and their community. So it's a definite focus, and I'm very excited about it. And I see more of the positives. I see more people making change. I see more things happening, and I have to stick with that, because that's the way things are going, and we're going to crack this. I think there's probably a few things. One is that you definitely need to slow down to speed up. So taking the time for yourself to realize where you are. So starting where you are with what you've got. And if that's Alana and this program, then you're off to a winning start for sure. But it's definitely, if you're suffering from overwhelm and you're kind of like, you don't know what's coming, how things are going to work out, if you slow down, take the time to put the effort into a program like this, it's definitely going to come back to you. Because I have found that the effort that I put in terms of, getting up every morning and, going through the material, and, it's a joy to read. And there's so many interesting things that you don't even think about. And then you find somewhere during the day, you're like, oh, that's come back to me. I was like, oh, now I see where that's going. And I love those little surprises throughout the day. And I would just say, simplify it. Just trust the process, and invest in yourself, because I think we're always told to put on your own oxygen mask first, but this is without doubt the most important thing to do. So it's simplify to amplify the situation, and take the program on board, invest in yourself, and you won't regret it. you'll need, as they say, a telescope to look back on where you were, because you'll be able to just accelerate things like you never believed. Absolutely. And I think the one thing is, if this wasn't working for me, I wouldn't be doing it again for another 6 months. So that's the endorsement right there, is that I'm going around again, because I just think there's so much value in all of the material and the sessions and what you put into it, and the time and effort of all the little things, the little realizations of where you're at and where you can be going. Those are really big takeaways. So yeah, I advise anybody listening to take it on board, because I certainly wouldn't be where I am today without it.